That's Peter Gabriel and Sledgehammer on BBC Radio Shropshire, 28 minutes past 9. Getting checked over by the bouncers before you go into the club, that's sort of standard part of a night out now, isn't it? Evening, all right, yeah, okay, can't come in them, you can't wear in them. But how do you feel about the attitudes of those doorkeepers? I'll call them security people on the door, if you like. Tom Robinson set up his own security business, ESP Security Solutions, after growing to hate the character of some of those bouncers. And I told you my experience of some of the bouncers I've worked with over the years, right? Tom's doing lots and lots of work now, working on film sets, doing all sorts of things. And it turns out I've known him for longer than I thought. Hello, good morning.
How you doing? You all right?
Known him for ages, haven't I, really?
A little while.
Yeah.
Sort of, I think it's about 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because, hang on, maybe a bit closer.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Because you were at one stage making music with one of my lads.
I was indeed. That's something I still continue on today. So,
do you? You're still involved in drumming?
Absolutely. And a little band called the Texels. So we do some cracking stuff. We're all barking mad. Yeah. So it mixes quite well with this as well, because now I'm sort of moving into sort of doing the security as well as the band. Yeah. So
just you don't get any smaller, by the way. I mean, I've never seen your shoulders are enormous. What are you eating for breakfast nowadays?
Oh, it's usually Mackey's, to be honest. Are the restaurants available?
Oh, yes, of course they are. Yeah. Does that, what I said about bouncers, does that resonate with you? Do you understand what I just said about?
When I was, back 15 years ago when I was 18, I had an interesting experience with door supervisors, bouncers at the time, and it was the way they did the job back then was very old school, what we call it now. Now we're new school. So now we're door supervisors, which is the SIA, Security Industry Authority. They came in, the Act, the legislation was brought in 2001 or 2004, can't remember. But they were there and they came in to make it a little bit of a better place. Safer, more... just a safer place.
More responsible.
As well as actual training.
Yeah.
So you've now got training, and we're one of the local training providers in Shrewsbury, Shropshire. And what the SIA's main objective was to just make it more. I've forgotten the words now, but just make it a better place, a safer place.
Because there were some thugs on the door, Tom.
Back in the day, my main the point that got me was when I was thrown down a staircase.
Really?
And it was in Shrewsbury, and there was this staircase, and it was this big sort of skinhead guy, real thick set, and I'd done absolutely nothing. I was with my mate, having a bit of a banter, if you like, and he just looked at me the wrong way, and that was it. And I went straight out the back doors, and I got launched straight down a concrete staircase. Right. And that was the point where I went,
that ain't right.
That's not right, because you're here to look after me, and you're here. If something goes wrong, I want you to look after me. If I'm doing something wrong, I want you to look after me, but I don't want you to throw me down a staircase. Because this is the bad part of it. And this happens today. I mean, we move all across the UK and Europe doing what we do. But my main drive for this is just do it right. There's no need to, everybody's individual. I was with someone on Sunday night. I was looking after somebody on Sunday night at one of the clubs we work out. And these two chaps walk through. We're doing a meet and greet. And they're always great fun. And these two chaps walk up, totally different characters. One guy had questions all over his arm, and he was, I'm going to question this guy, I'm going to all these questions for him. And then his friend turns around and goes, why? He's still a person. So even though you've got these guys that you see on TV, yourself, all these celebrities that you may see the Sugar Babes, Little Mix, they're still people. There's still problems, there's still mental health. There's still those things, they've got to put bread on the table. They're still human. They're not just public figures. They're people like me and you. So that's where you go and you treat them like people. So if I'm here now looking at you, if I was someone that was working with you and I was always looking over the desk and peering in your eyes, you get a bit weirded out by that. So that's then the sort of getting startled by the people you work with, if you like. So if I'm working with someone on a close protection job, I've got to treat them like any normal person. So no starstruck, no nothing like that.
Sure.
Going back to the door supervision, the bouncers, that word, I agree with you, it's
a horrible word.
It's a horrible word. It's an old school word.
Yeah.
However, the main points that we want to try and get across for security nowadays is we want to make sure it is as compliant with the law as possible. There's no cash in hand. Because cash in hand at the minute is untraceable. So it might mean that, and I've spoken a few times on the radio about this, and a few times publicly about this, cash in hand is an untraceable thing. I pay some huge amounts of money for payroll tax, VAT, and the cash in hand industry, it doesn't allow that. So it gives them the upper hand for where I am. I'm a legitimate company, ACS. Approved Contractor Scheme is something that the SIA, Security Industry Authority, they brought in. I think it was about 5 years after they established. They say 2008, and it's basically a level that companies can achieve to make sure you are getting a good service. So the buyer needs to be educated. The buyer of security needs to be educated. The ACS companies are one step above.
To get that level of service. Yeah.
I've been independently vetted. The whole company, my staff, every single one of them worked so hard to achieve the ACS standard. We were doing all sorts of hours, and every single one of them did so well, and everyone was so happy when we achieved.
Right. So that's a legitimate level now, you see.
That is a legitimate
because
level.
As you said, I mean, it used to be, a quick tenner here, 20 quid there, and a couple of drinks.
I was watching a film yesterday, the day before yesterday. We did a brief for one of the events we're doing this weekend, and one of the guys from the office comes through, Tom, you've got to watch this video. So we put it onto the big screen behind me, and it was how it was run. It was Rent-A-Bouncer from the 1970s,
right?
And there was like £3 a night. So, it was always that cash
in hand, that's it, yeah.
But now we're moving on.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping in 10 years that sort of cash, there was a thing on radio, that cash may even become deceased.
Yeah.
Gone.
But it is now
maybe.
more of a legitimate business, like any other business, isn't it?
Like any other business, like the bakers, like the corner
Because
shops.
you see, those guys that I worked with years and years ago in this blooming rough nightclub in Sheffield. What a hole that was, I felt quite safe, but, I did worry about a couple of them. There were two blokes, one big Scottish bloke, and he'd look for it. And if it wasn't there, he'd find it and he'd make it. He'd make something happen that night because he just fancied
There
a
is
fight.
people still today that try and do that.
Really?
And that's what something called BS 7858. It's a British standard. We vet every single person that works on with our company. Some companies don't do that, but our company does. And that wheedles out all the people. It's screening for mental health conditions. It's screening for anything you can. I need to profile my guys to make sure, my staff, to make sure
squeaky
they
clean.
are squeaky
Bang
clean.
on.
DBS checks.
Yeah.
Because some people, security industry, once upon a time, maybe back in 1980s, 90s, it was a thugs thing. And you had gangsters that may have come in and they were trying to run your door for you. Now, you want proper business people running your door.
Because there's a legal requirement now. If I've got a venue and that on a Friday and a Saturday night, I've got to have door staff, haven't I?
It depends on your premises licence. So that's what the council and the police then, you've got to apply to the council and police to run a premises because you're out serving alcohol.
Yeah.
Liquor licence, basically. And then the police and the council have a little bit of conflab, they make a decision on what your license requirements are. So you've got different appendixes,
and they will then tell me how many what I've got to do in terms of.
And that premises license has got to be up on every single venue,
right,
or every single bar, so people can actually view that. So some premises they might not comply with the premises license, but if door supervisors are necessary on a venue, you can check that. Any public can check that. Any the council and the police, they go around checking. So it's all about compliance.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Which is what a legitimate company does with you as well. I consult for it.
How long's the business been going?
So,
how long have you been doing that?
2011 we incorporated.
Sort of initially on a sort of casually basis, but then getting more and more serious, and it's ramped up now, isn't it?
2008 was my first time in security.
Yeah.
Before that, I was sort of consulting for events and stuff like that. Just sort of, and farming as well. My background is farming.
Farming too.
That's where the shoulders come from.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So in 10 years, you've come a long way, really.
It's been a very interesting 10 years.
Learning
it's been
curve,
a very interesting 10 years. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been things that have happened that I never would have thought of in my wildest dreams. One of the ones, I'm allowed to say this, I checked this, we looked after the Queen in Chester. So we were part of her visit to Chester with Story House, and that was a fantastic opportunity to raise the profile of the company and work with some fantastic people.
And you're working abroad nowadays?
Yeah, we work abroad. We go as far as Amsterdam and France for the job. So it's fantastic. So all over the UK and abroad.
You work. A little note said you work on film sets too.
We do film sets.
Have you been in them? Have you been in a film? Have we seen you?
I don't think you've seen me yet. but there's things recently that I might have just jumped into shot.
Is
You
that
never
right?
know.
Yeah, just in case.
But I'll wait for my calling on that one.
Yeah. So the business is changing. And
It
has
is
changed a
absolutely.
lot, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
It's changed since the 1990s.
Become more responsible.
You are going to be brought to account by the SIA, the police, or the council if you're doing something wrong. So if someone is to treat you inappropriately or treat you violently, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Like you were saying, the two guys in your Sheffield club, the one guy that can look for the fight, the one that can talk.
He was amazing.
You'll hardly ever see me going physical with somebody. It's always going to be the word of the mouth. Your best thing is what we're doing now. That's talking. Always talk somebody down.
Sure.
So if you get hands on, it's the last resort.
Interesting thing about you talking somebody down though is you're about 6'3", and as wide as a house.
I'm tall.
Right. But so if I'm thinking of causing bother, you can talk me down, and I'll probably back away. To be perfectly honest, this other guy that I was talking about some years ago, and he was ahead of his game, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was about 5'3".
Yeah.
He was a little bloke.
That's it.
But he never touched anybody, and they never touched him.
No.
Because it's all about that
It is.
communication and getting
Building
it
a
right.
rapport is what
Yeah,
it's called.
exactly.
Building that rapport with someone instantly from the
Yeah.
time you
Difficult
are
if somebody's
on the
drunk
door.
though, Tom.
Yes, because you've got a barrier. However, you can. What I like to do is test. So I like to test people, and that's just little questions that you ask to see how intoxicated they might be, and from that you can gauge on the front door usually whether they're allowed in or not.
All right.
So we're as strict as we can be, but we're people. We need businesses to succeed. So I'm not going to go to my customer and say, no, you can't let this massive group in of 50 people. Right. They've got to survive because they're paying my bill. And at the end of the day, we want to have this business survive.
Yes,
Because
sure.
there's a lot of public houses at the moment shutting down. There's also a lot starting up. Shrewsbury, we're seeing a lot of new places coming in, which is great. There's other places in the UK that there's a lot of pubs shutting down and clubs shutting down because it is a changing industry, which is it's a shame.
Tell me about Pub Watch, because you're involved in that.
I am indeed, yes. Pub Watch, so National Pub Watch, started in 1997. And from there, their main objectives were, or their key aims were to achieve a safe, secure and responsibly led social environment in the nighttime economy. So a bit of a mouthful there. But it's all basically to make the UK and the UK nighttime economy a safer environment and helping them. One of the key achievements of the Pub Watch, National Pub Watch, was helping the pass cards, so helping them to launch and to make sure it's as hard and fast as you can be, as good as you can be for the pass certificate. Also, their key objective again is to reduce alcohol-related crime in the nighttime economy. So Pub Watch is something that relates to what I do, but I take a personal passion in it because it is helping everybody. So I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of work that isn't paid, and that is because at the end of the day, that experience back 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when I went down those stairs, no one should be subject to that, ever.
But you chair two Pub Watches in
I do
Telford,
indeed, yeah.
North Telford and South Telford.
I do indeed, yeah.
And the what's this?
So in the pub we have a lot of nighttime economy guys, businesses, and from that, every meeting it's always something about the police. The police have done well, the police have not done well, the police, we've got concerns over something. And this went on. I'm now in my second term as chair for North Telford. It's the first term for South Telford, and it's going really, really well, but there's always something to be said about the police. Now, I'm not knocking the police. We have some fantastic officers that support everything that the nighttime economy does. I'm not going to name names, but there are some key people in North Telford, South Telford, Shrewsbury, and they've been in the industry a long time, and we can't thank those people enough. They are true legends. They've helped the industry great. However, with Pub Watch now, with me here and these sort of nitpicks, if you like, what I've done is I've approached the Police Crime Commissioner for West Midlands, West Mercia,
John Campion.
There was a meeting in Oswestry, which was great. He come down, was publicly speaking, open meeting with one of the superintendents, inspectors, sergeants, and everybody felt that there was a face to talk to. The room was jam-packed. It was a fantastic room to be in. However, I was the only person from the nighttime economy in Oswestry, which I was disappointed with, and I've raised that with the Pub Watch guys or with the Pub Watch members.
If you're that bothered, you ought to be there.
You've got it bang on. Yeah, if you keep raising concerns, be there. So I've done exactly the same now in Telford. And John Campion, he's very happy with it. He wants it to happen. The superintendent wants this to happen. Every officer I speak to is very, very happy that this is going to happen. We had three or four members of staff that went out here, I think it was yesterday, the day before, Thursday I think it was, handing out leaflets in the local town in Telford. And as soon as you walk up to somebody, they initially go, "Oh, what do you want?" Mm-hmm. As soon as you say police, and the police are coming, the police crime commissioners coming to town, every single person had a story to tell. Now, these people having those stories to tell are the people that I would like to come to this meeting, because it's taken around about 2-3 months to set up. A lot of hard work and a lot of late nights. But the thing is, we've now got the faces and the people that make those decisions for the policing in our communities coming to town.
So can anybody come along?
Anybody can come along.
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Now, where is it?
Next Tuesday, right. So you are at the PCC and Superintendent Community Meeting, 14th of May. So it's next Tuesday, 6:30 start. Prompt start if we can. Location, Wellington Town Council offices, Larkin Way, Wellington. That's T11LA.
Anybody can come along.
Anybody can come along.
You got the local policing inspector Paul Moxley there.
We've got a few of them
Paul.
coming in.
You've got John Campion there.
Yeah.
I know John Campion. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
Okay. Next Tuesday night, 6:30.
Next Tuesday night, and I hope we have a really good evening.
Wellington Council offices in Larkin Way. You can go along and see that public meeting and take part. So, what's next for you?
Today or
well, this weekend you're busy, yeah?
I am. We are absolutely. We're having a great weekend. We've got 2 events locally that have been on the radio quite a lot, and I'm security consultant for both. Ludlow
and Telford. The Spring Festival, the Telford Balloon Festival.
Yeah, on Balloon Festival. I'll be there hopefully by 10 o'clock for a briefing.
You will. All right. Yeah. Go on. You get off then.
No, it's good. But thank you very much.
Lovely to see you, mate. You take care. Thank you very much indeed. Tom Robinson, who is a security consultant. Should we call you that now? That's the way, isn't it, really? That's fantastic. So don't forget that public meeting in Wellington Tuesday, 6:30, Wellington Council offices in Larkin Way. Police Commissioner is going to be there. Local policing inspector is going to be there. Tom's going to be there. You could be there too. It's free.